Hey everyone, welcome to the Change with Colton podcast. I am honored to have Jake Karls, the co-founder of Midday Squares, on my podcast today. He's the modern day Willy Wonka, and they recently sold their 20 millionth bar. Welcome to the podcast, Jake. Great to have you on.
Colton, baby, I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Yes, it's been a big milestone. We sold our 20 millionth chocolate bar. For us, that was a dream come true. I remember when we started, we were making these bars in our condo kitchen. We were only able to make 80 bars per day. And today we're making between 70,000 and 90,000 per day in our own facility, modern day Willy Wonka chocolate factory that we own, which is super exciting. So, yeah, it's been a journey, my man. And I'm excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Before we jump into Midday Squares, could you tell me a little bit about your background before you joined the company and how you grew up?
Yeah, dude, I've been an entrepreneur for a decade now, and I've hit some wins. I've lost some. I've actually failed in two businesses, and I studied to be an actuary. I was good with math and stats at the time, and I was trying to do it to make my parents proud. And I love my parents dearly. They're awesome people, awesome folks. I felt that society pushes us into a direction where you got to go just do what the rules say you got to do. And I at one moment in my third year of college, I realized that it's not for me. That I got to break the rules. I got to be out there. I got to do me. I got to do what I want finally in my life, because everything else in my life before that, I was doing it for other people. I was doing it to prove to everybody, or do it because I was scared of not doing it. So when I was turned 21, I was kind of like, I'm changing this up. And ever since there, I haven't looked back. And I launched businesses in fitness, in college parties, and now obviously this chocolate bar company with my sister, my brother-in-law. And it's been about 4.5 years that we've been going at this.
Amazing. Could we dive a little deeper into that? So, on a previous podcast, I heard that you lost almost $80,000 with one of your companies. How'd you overcome that failure or obstacle to reach where you are today?
You know, I with that business, it was basically I was throwing parties on college campuses and then trying to sell clothing after the parties to the students to make some money on for the business. And one thing I learned during that time was I'm not a good operator. And that was the greatest lesson I could have learned in life, and to realize what my weaknesses were. And I also realized what I was great at. I was great at building brand, building community, getting people excited about these parties, bringing them all together, firing up those engines. And that's what I do now with Midday Squares. So it led me to that. Yes, I lost $80,000. I went bankrupt, and my ego was hurting because I just failed my business went bankrupt. Right? It hurts. People judge you, and people close to you judge you, and they think that you can't do it. They don't believe in you. So regaining that confidence was just surrounding myself with good people. My partners today, are very good folks. They're we hype each other up, we build each other up, we elevate each other. And so when I joined them on this journey, August 2018, I was fired up. I was ready to go, even though I was tired and I was, kind of, insecure a little bit because my ego was shot down a little bit. But I realized that ego is not really something you need. It will just get in your way a lot of the time. So what I did was I joined this company, and we stayed focused. We focused each other to just go out there and win. And I played to my strengths, which is storytelling and building a brand and community. And my partners are playing to their strengths, which is operations, manufacturing, and all that jazz. So when you put that together, you have a successful partnership and a successful organization in terms of skill sets.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So, at first, before you joined Midday Squares, could you tell me like what led to that ultimately coming to fruition?
Yeah, dude. Well, I lost all this money. I was tired. I was exhausted. I went down this path of not knowing what's next. And, should I go get a job at a company I like? Should I take a year off? I was down this weird path. I didn't have anyone around me. My ex-girlfriend at the time, after 3.5 years, broke up with me, or 4 years, broke up with me out of nowhere. And I was kind of in a very depressive state. And when my sister, my brother-in-law, approached me with this idea of Midday Squares, this chocolate bar company, and to come in and be the third partner, co-founder, I kind of said to myself, well, this will keep me busy. This will get my mind off all the depressing stuff that I was thinking, the sadness, the loneliness I was going through. So I decided to join it. And I was just like, screw it. Whatever happens, happens. At least I'll be kept busy. And my mind was so focused on building this business that I forgot about everything else. And I was grateful for that experience, because otherwise I wouldn't have joined this company. I wouldn't have I probably would have, either still been doing nothing or, working in a company and maybe a job I didn't like. Again, to just follow the playbook of life, the societal rules, right? Of just, living, but living in terms of breathing, not living in terms of, being yourself. And so that led me to Midday Squares, and we launched it together in August 2018. And since then, it's been a wild roller coaster.
That sounds like quite the journey. And I feel like in life, there's a lot of pressure from society, and it's great that you overcame that. Do you have any tips for our audience on how they can do that for themselves?
Yeah, well, I think that, life is hard. The world isn't easy. And I know in at least in North America, we have it a little easier than other countries. But, I think what you got to realize is you are your best version when you are yourself. Everyone around you tries to make you somebody else, and that's not good. So if you could just block out the noise that's around you and stay true and follow what your gut actually is telling you, even if it's against all odds and it's against all the people around you, follow through with it. It will lead you to zones that you've never experienced before. It might be very uncomfortable, but those uncomfortable zones are where the magic happens, or where the doors open, or where the serendipity, can actually take place. And I think that that's what I learned early on was put yourself in really uncomfortable positions. That's truly where I've made my magic, and I've made my, somewhat success that I believe has happened has been due to that idea of two things: trust your gut, be unapologetic with yourself every day. And the third thing, sorry, I said two, I mean three. And the third thing is to to block out that noise, to block out the noise around you. There's a ton of noise via social media, via friends, family. You need to be true to you. And that's it. That's all. It might take you to bad, but at least with the bad, you might learn, or it might take you to good, and you'll be obviously good from there. Or it will never take you to being average. You don't want to be average. You don't want to be in the middle. You want to be on an outlier, good or bad, but nothing in the middle.
For sure. So, one thing I live by is fearing complacency and mediocrity. So, I always try to continuously learn and step out of my comfort zone. So, one of those key factors when you joined the business was going to a business therapist with your co founders. You are destigmatizing the conversation around mental health and being vulnerable and telling your stories. Could you explain more about that process and how's that affected your business?
Great question. So when we launched the company, my sister, my brother-in-law were already seeing therapy all the time in their relationship for their own individual personal growth. I was in a fraternity. I was a hockey player, a competitive hockey player. I was like, I'm the happiest guy. I don't need this stuff. It's for weak people, in quotations. That's what I thought. And I was so naive to think that, because that's so pathetic. But I learned. And what happened was my brother-in-law said to me, you can't be the third co-founder or partner in this business unless you agree to go into therapy once a week with us as the three of us, so we can work on our communication, we can understand each other, we can learn how to have hard conversations and become better leaders. And I just basically said, you're going to throw away this partnership for therapy if I say no. And he's like, yeah. And I ended up going, and I fell in love with therapy in the first, I think it was after the fifth session. I was just like, this is the game changer. This makes you a better person if you want it to make you a better person. And I realized that it's not for weak people. It's not weak to go. It's actually strength. It's actually something to show. I like to show it off now, because I'm proud that I go to therapy once or twice a week minimum with my partners and myself, to become a better person, to understand how to communicate better, how to listen more, to have different perspectives on life, right? And till this day, I think it's the best investment we've made as a business. And I'm trying to destigmatize it the way I felt, because I've been through that feeling of thinking that it's weird or it's off, it's whatever, and make it, more normalized, that this is something to improve. And I always said, when I tell people I go to a therapist once a week, they kind of judge a lot of the time. And then when I tell them those exact same people, hey, I'm seeing a performance coach once a week, they're like, oh, that makes sense. So the wording is the same thing. A therapist is a performance coach. It's the same concept, and I think that we as a society need to look at this whole thing differently and understand that therapy is a great thing. It's something that makes you a better person, which most people need to become better people. So I'm all for therapy. I'm a big advocate for it. Without it, Midday Squares would not be here today. I wouldn't be my partners and I wouldn't be partners, because we would have fought so much. And it's made me more of a genuine human, I think. And I think the kicker of the whole thing is you need to buy into it. You can't just, you know, when you're in there, you need to buy into the vision and be open-minded. You can't go in with a closed mind and a negativity, because it won't work otherwise, because how can it work? You're blocking everything from coming in.
For sure. I went to therapy in the past and it was for sure a big help. I need to start going again to get that help. And I appreciate everything you all are doing to build in public and share that vision and that journey.
Thank you,
Um,
man. It's been the most important thing is to share the journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, the authenticity, showing you, what it looks like to build a business, how hard it is, and the moments of hardship, the moments of amazingness. Allowing you to be part of that journey is super important to, share that transparency and build that trust and that fandom, that friendship that we're looking to build.
awesome. Thank you. So I also saw that you guys were getting a cease and desist letter from Hershey's. Can you share a little bit about that and what you guys did in response?
We got a cease and assist letter from Hershey's for the color orange, packaging on the color orange, and I'm a big fan of the Hershey brand and the Reese's brand, and our Pantone was actually different. And we had two options: go to court with them or change the package. And so what we did is we changed the package, but the way we did it was we showed our fans why we had to change the package and what was going on. And basically, it was like this David versus Goliath, big chocolate versus small chocolate. And it went viral. And then on top of that, we went one step further and we actually made a diss track, a music video to show that we're Midday Squares. We're not trying to be you, Hershey's. We don't want to be you. We are ourselves and we could do things like this and you can't. And it went even more viral. And then, I think it goes to show that storytelling is super important and powerful, but also staying true to what you believe and following through with your gut. And some people would have said that would have been the dumbest decision to do. And at the time it was scary, but in the end it worked out for our better and helped us a lot as a brand. And it showed who we are as people and that we're not scared.
For sure, for sure. So, can you share a few tips about like storytelling and building your personal brand?
Yeah, I think that just knowing that, your story's not boring is super important. Most people think their story's boring. They're scared to share because they live it 24/7. So they don't think people will find it interesting, but that's the truth. You live it 24/7. I don't live your story 24/7. So that's the first thing. The second thing is be yourself. You are your best version when you are yourself. Your story is your best version when you are truly being you. The moment you try to be somebody else is the moment it gets uncomfortable, it gets unrelatable, because people feel that cringeness. They feel that weird energy. So those two things is authenticity and authenticity, transparency, and share your story. I can promise you, if you do that, you'll start to build a brand where people will engage with or people will feel closer to, rather than just telling, a boring old same story that everyone else tells or product features that everyone else tells. So do that. Put yourself out there, even if it feels uncomfortable, and don't expect views and virality right away. Consistently do it, and eventually the storytelling will, if it's good enough, it will reward you, and they'll reward you with support from fans or for business opportunities or relationships that you've never seen before.
For sure, for sure. One thing I love that you all are doing, so on the packaging, you have your faces. I actually have a Midday Square right here. So if you haven't tried it, I definitely would go out to wherever your local store has it. They're amazing. I haven't tried the cookie dough flavor yet, but the sales are insane. And you are living your truth. So
Dude,
recently,
I think that if you're going to launch a business, you need a product market fit. Number one, that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to tell a story, a great story. And the third thing is just you need to be yourself. Those three things, if you have those three things, I promise you, you're giving yourself your best chance at winning. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to win, but it gives you your best opportunity of getting there.
great, great. Thank you. So, how do you overcome like those thoughts in your head when self doubt occurs?
So very simple. Everyone goes through self doubt. It's a common thing, like it's human nature. And I think that when I'm feeling low and I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling insecure, or I'm feeling, going through moments of just deep depression or sadness or loneliness, I try to go back to what's my purpose? What drives me? What makes me feel energized? And for me, that's building community and being with people and being out there and making others feel something deeply inside. So that reiterates what I'm supposed to be doing. So then I go put myself in those scenarios and I feel fueled again. I get re-energized because we all go through self-doubt. Like I went through a phase where I compared myself to so many people, and that was so unhealthy. That was such a dangerous game to play. And we do it. We all are guilty of yardsticking. You got to stay as far away as possible. Focus on what makes you great and stay true and focused on that at all times. Don't veer off. Jeff Bezos once said, he wasn't worried about competition. All he cared about was obsessing and making sure his customer got the best service and product possible. And that's why he built such a big business. And I think that that's the same thing that goes for any other person is do what you do best, make your customers have the best experience as possible, worry about nothing else, and you will win.
Definitely. So I have a side business currently with working full time, helping people with their resumes, and it's so rewarding, and just focusing on the customer and like their experience and their outcomes is really inspiring.
Great. Congratulations, brother. That's cool.
Thank you. The focus for that, I'm eventually wanting to transition into like a SaaS business where I help international students because they don't really have a platform to apply to jobs on. But
Cool.
moving on, recently you like injured your back and you felt burnt out. What made you come to that point and how do you overcome it?
Yeah, dude. So going hard for 4.5 years and not taking a break and just go, 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 not processing anything and just trying to win more and more and more led me to a burnout. I hurt my back playing hockey a couple months ago, and fitness and sports were my outlets to decompress and let stress out. But when I hurt myself, I couldn't do that. I was forced to stay and focus and just be present and sit there. And when that happened, all of these thoughts came through my head, and I couldn't get the stress out because I couldn't exercise and couldn't do the things that I did best because I was hurt. So I actually ended up having a full burnout on top of the physical injuries. And it just made me realize that I need different tools and I need to be present and not just have, the fitness as the angle, but I need to also take a moment to step back, and make sure that when I'm in these states, I don't lead myself to this type of danger, tired zone and burnout zone. And yeah, so I saw therapy for 30 days straight. I did physios, osteos, the whole 9 yards you could imagine. And I just learned that I got to listen to my body more. I gotta understand it more. I gotta respect it. And yeah, and that this journey is not about burning out so much. It's more about sustaining the long term. And how do I do that?
Amazing. So one thing you're known for is your amazing dances. Like where does that energy stem from?
For me, that's just me spreading good vibes. I think part of my mission is to go out there and spread good energy and show the world that you could win by being yourself. So when I do that, I'm showing people to be yourself and it's okay to, and saying that, here's me dancing and having fun and still doing good things in business. I think that that's what I'm trying to show.
For sure. So let's talk about Jake 2.0. How are you going to achieve your $1 billion valuation in less than 10 years?
Distribution, execution, manufacturing, world-class operations, and building the brand like an entertainment company. That's all. That's a simple method, and we'll get there. It's just execution, energy, and focus will get us there.
I have no doubt about it. You are doing amazing things. Another important thing about building a business and life in general is habits. Have Do you have any key habits that have helped you get where you are?
I read a lot of books. I try to work out as much as I can, even since I'm injured. But reading and surrounding yourself with good people is 100% the most important thing in the game.
What are some of your favorite books?
Oh, I have a lot. I did like the Shoe Dog book about Phil Knight and Nike. I did like this book called Big Little Legends, I think it is. Playing to Win is a strategy from Procter and Gamble. There's a lot of great books out there, and you're not going to like every book. So I always buy a bunch, and then, I probably don't, out of the 6 I buy at a time, I probably only like 2 or read 2 of them. but the other ones are just giveaway. So I think that, having the knowledge of the book, and being with the book, it's this like physical item that's like not technology for me. So it kind of relaxes me. It's like my meditation, which is super important. And I became obsessed with learning. So I obsessed with the idea of reading because I'm learning knowledge as I go.
Me too. I love books. And shoot, the book about Nike is amazing. I recently saw the movie Air. I know it was inspiring as well. Another favorite of mine is like Atomic Habits. Not sure
Great
if you.
book. Great book.
Do you have any other stories or lessons you want to share about building confidence to reach your potential or overcoming failures?
I think just being just continue to be yourself and continue to to go against the noise, and don't be afraid to go the opposite way of the herd. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Where can people find you at, and how can the audience help you?
Just follow our journey. Support us on social media, Midday Squares on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, or follow me on LinkedIn, Jake Karls, and I'm happy to connect. And you can find the bars on our website, www.middaysquares.com, or in the refrigerator of many retailers across Canada and the United States. In Canada, we got Walmart. In the United States, we have Target, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Fresh Time, Fresh Market, Wegmans. Again, always in the refrigerated section.
Thanks again for being here. This is Change with Colton. Remember to be grateful and stay blessed. Have a good one.